if they did that with Obama, what was the actual treason? Like, what is she stating is treason?
Well, so now I don't think she said treason. I don't think legally that's technically right. But someone might correct me on that. Maybe it's sedition or something. I don't know. I mean, like, I think treason. I think John Brennan did commit treason when he armed Al Qaeda in Syria, and Obama as well, with the rest of Obama and John Kerry and Brennan. I think that's literally treason, right? Giving aid and comfort to the enemy in a time of war. What Obama and Comey and Clapper did to Donald Trump is they framed him for treason. So what do you call that exactly? Right. Framing the sitting U.S. president?
Barack Obama stepped into the cultural spotlight believing his smooth charisma and flawless delivery would always carry him. But Joe Rogan doesn't play along with polish. He strips it down until there's nothing left but raw metal. The roast doesn't just poke at Obama's speeches. It tears apart the whole performance. Every dramatic pause, every lifted chin, every smug grin becomes punchline fuel. What's left on stage isn't a master orator, but a carefully lit illusion with no real substance holding the spotlight.
This is the accusation. They're throwing around the word treason.
I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016.
They're saying that Obama knew that Russia did not meddle in the election, did not have any impact in the...
What Rogan spots is the emptiness behind the hope poster. The irony of a man who sold himself as something new while running the same tired Washington playbook. He sizes Obama up the way he does a UFC fighter who struts in with designer shorts, polished gloves, and a hype machine behind him, only to get dropped in the first round. In Rogan's framing, Obama isn't the legend the media worships. He's the overhyped main event who folds the moment the bell rings.
Do you remember when they gave that speech, when he gave a speech on television, and everybody was like, fuck this? And then they were, it kind of just went away.
It was one of the most beautiful moments in modern American history. People really actually stood up and stopped a war from happening.
Today, I authorize the Armed Forces of the United States to begin a limited military action in Libya in support of an international effort to protect Libyans.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Rogan cuts straight into the contradictions. Obama branded himself as the man of the people, yet the minute he left the White House, he cashed in with a Netflix deal, a $65 million book contract, and sprawling estates in Martha's Vineyard in Hawaii. Rogan can't help but laugh at the irony. The so-called humble community organizer now living in a mansion big enough to host a UFC card in the backyard. The punchline lands hard. Obama didn't step away from power. He turned it into a business.
Can I get a glass of water? I'm serious. I'm thirsty. Can I get a glass of water? This is not a prank.
You never seen it?
No.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Oh,
it's amazing.
no.
He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this, like this.
Problem
He's
is solved?
bullshitting the world. Watch this.
Can I get some water? I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
It's
that.
100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, can I get a glass of water?
The roast keeps circling back to Obama's obsession with looking cool. Rogan frames him as the guy who strolls into the party with a cigarette hanging from his lips, sleeves casually rolled, pretending he's just one of the crew, all while holding the after-party guest list and making sure no one else gets in. Obama's image has always been about control. Control of perception, control of tone, control of the very rhythm of applause. But Rogan strips the act bare. It's not authentic. It's performance, so forced and calculated it eventually collapses under its own weight.
You look at the policies and the attacks on whistleblowers and drone strikes and all the other shit that happened during that administration, and the coup in Russia, and like there's a lot that's, from a foreign policy perspective, that's very similar to what George Bush was doing. But what they were doing was highlighting social justice issues that came about during his administration, largely obscured the fact that the foreign policies were very similar to what George Bush was.
And then there's Obama's legacy, which Rogan treats like a highlight reel gone wrong. Guantanamo Bay, still open. Drone strikes, expanded. Healthcare, A maze of premiums, mandates, and fine print that left people Googling if their doctor even counted. Rogan doesn't dissect policy like a pundit. He tears into it like a comic who knows the punchline hits hardest when truth sets it up. And the Nobel Peace Prize? Awarded before Obama even broke a sweat. Less a recognition of achievement, more a preseason participation trophy handed out by starstruck global fanboys.
Absolutely must hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history.
But yet promoted this idea.
James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years.
And then there's been some incredible clips of all these different news reporters, CNN and MSNBC, just saying over and over and over again, clear evidence of Russian collusion.
Rogan loves exposing hypocrisy, and with Obama, the material writes itself. This was the candidate who promised transparency, yet left behind one of the most bloated surveillance states in history. The man who railed against big money in politics, while raking in Wall Street cash like a pro. The president who vowed to end endless wars, but managed to expand them with polite grammar and a winning smile. Rogan doesn't have to exaggerate. The contradictions are already wearing a suit and tie. He compares Obama to a motivational speaker who packs a seminar with buzzwords like hope and change, pockets the check, and leaves the audience broke and unemployed. In Rogan's framing, Obama's speeches weren't blueprints. They were late-night infomercials.
Obama did it, where he repeated that lie about Donald Trump talking about white supremacists, saying they're very fine people on both sides. Let's play it.
Said that there were very fine people on both sides of a white supremacist rally.
You had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay?
That's crazy. I have never seen that last.
What Rogan really shreds is the cult of personality. Rogan calls out how people still treat Obama like a sacred brand. Nostalgia merch, bumper stickers, hashtags, less politics, more pop culture. Obama became the iPhone of presidents. Sleek, shiny, overpriced, and obsolete the second a new model came out. People clung to the packaging even as the product malfunctioned. Rogan's roast rips that worship apart, pointing out how ridiculous it looks when a former president is treated like a sneaker drop. Then comes the post-presidency hustle. Rogan cracks on the endless celebrity appearances, the Spotify podcast, and the staged surprise by normal life photo ops. And when it comes to healthcare, the gloves come off. Rogan compares the Affordable Care Act to a gym membership that promises a discount, only for you to find out you're paying double and half the machines are broken.
Is that the 2011 thing where Obama allowed people to use propaganda against United States citizens?
Hillary Clinton is and has been an outstanding public servant.
What was done then under Obama, effective repeal of it, was called the Smith Modernization Act.
She was a great Secretary of State for me.
At the time, the media and media control was seen as the linchpin crux of winning the Cold War, piping in pro-U.S. media influence.
Obama's promise of affordable coverage turned into a bureaucratic maze where you'd spend hours trying to figure out if dental was included, only to find out at the chair that it wasn't. Rogan jokes that Obamacare felt less like reform and more like a government-sponsored prank show, with citizens as the unsuspecting contestants. Then there's Obama's obsession with being cool, the endless playlists, the March Madness brackets, the carefully curated image. Here was a president who seemed more invested in picking Kendrick Lamar tracks for a summer Spotify list than figuring out how to stop the collapse of middle-class wages. Rogan laughs at the absurdity. The man spent more time debating which song to add than which law might actually help families. And let me be clear, that became a punchline. Because every time Obama said it, what followed was anything but clear. The finger point, the rolling cadence, the Shakespearean delivery, Rogan tears it apart, pointing out that you don't need to act like a stage actor to explain healthcare or war. He even imagines a comic trying the same thing, dragging out every punchline until the audience walks out before the joke ever lands.
Need some volume and go full screen.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? You know what? If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country.
Yeah.
We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto.
The irony, Rogan points out, is that his own home is simple. Obama's whole brand was built on being different, yet everything about him was the same. The wars didn't stop. The money didn't stop. The lobbyists didn't stop. The only thing that changed was the packaging. The fury of the Bush years got rebranded into the calm, polished tone of the Obama years. But the substance barely moved an inch. Rogan calls it the greatest marketing scam in political history, repainting the same old house, slapping a sleek new sign out front, and convincing the world it was a brand new mansion. His roast keeps hammering one brutal point. Obama wasn't just a president. He was a salesman. Every pause, every grin, every word was part of the pitch. He wasn't selling policy. He was selling himself, and the world lined up to buy. In Rogan's framing, Obama doesn't look like the savior of democracy. He looks like the guy who played the game better than anyone else, repackaged the same old politics in cooler wrapping, cashed out, and walked away richer than ever. The final image isn't of a leader. It's of a motivational speaker who left the stage with his check, while the audience stayed behind arguing over whether the speech changed their lives.
Strongman or steelman. I'm saying, like, would it be possible that Obama knew something that he could relay to them in the meeting?
Be an interesting thing to find. That'd be interesting for a court proceeding.
But even if that's the case, it still doesn't align with the known facts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which is
a
problem.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Look, I think we'll see what comes of this. Which I'm not betting on anything coming of this, but there is something interesting. Look, there's a lot of things that happen after that. The real, to me, the true outrage of Russiagate is that they didn't stop.
And that's where the roast lands hardest. Obama wasn't the man he sold to the world, and Rogan won't let cadence, charisma, or stage photo ops hide it. He pulls at every thread until the legacy is laid bare. A brand polished to perfection, a masterclass in marketing, and a presidency that promised transformation but delivered déjà vu. Rogan doesn't just hit the easy targets. The deeper he goes, the funnier and darker it gets. He reminds everyone that Obama's mythology was built on being the first. But strip away the symbolism, and what's left is just another politician doing exactly what the system demanded. Rogan frames it like a blockbuster trailer with an epic tagline, only there's no movie behind it. The sharpest punchline comes when he mocks the idea of bombing a country into freedom, comparing it to smashing your neighbor's car windows and then handing him a bus ticket as a favor. It's brutal. It's hilarious, and it captures the absurdity of celebrating a president as a diplomatic genius while his legacy smolders in ruins.
Obama murdered American citizens with no charges. 2 of them, at least. That is illegal. That is very clearly illegal.
You're talking about drone strikes.
Yes, it was
suspected.
Well,
terrorists.
it was Anwar Awlaki and his son. Now, with the son, who was like 14 or 15, they came back and killed him a few weeks after they killed the father. Now, I believe they claim he was not the target of the drone strike, like that he was just collateral damage.
And then there's the drone program. Rogan calls it the least cool thing a supposedly cool president ever did. Here was the same guy slow jamming the news with Jimmy Fallon while running a PlayStation-style military strategy where civilians became collateral damage. The irony of a Nobel Peace Prize winner authorizing joystick assassinations is too rich for Rogan to pass up. He nails the absurdity. If anyone else did it, they'd be branded a war criminal. But because Obama smiled while doing it, people called it leadership. Next comes the economy. Obama's defenders brag about the recovery, but Rogan digs into the fine print. Wall Street got bailed out. Main Street got left behind. The punchline lands because it's a truth millions lived through, but the media preferred to forget. And speaking of the media, Rogan treats their coverage like its own comedy sketch. Journalists didn't just report on Obama, they swooned. His playlists, his suits, even his workout routines got headlines. One clip of Obama hitting a basketball layup went viral as if it proved statesmanship. Rogan laughs at the absurdity, as if jogging up and down a court automatically qualifies you to solve the Middle East. The roast is merciless because it exposes how the media stopped being watchdogs and turned into hype men, writing coverage that read less like journalism and more like fanfiction.
Every day. Trump-Russia collusion.
And many of those same people are still telling you what's true. Many of those same people are still in front of a camera telling you what's true.
Yeah,
and
they're
never
still
apologize.
That's right. And they're the same ones up there going, we got to arm Ukraine till the end. We got to give Israel more bombs to drop on the Palestinians.
Are they even covering this? Like, how is MSNBC handling this Tulsi Gabbard revelation?
Or I think by changing their name to MS Now.
Rogan goes after the biggest illusion of all, Obama's claim of being above politics. In reality, he spent 8 years knee-deep in it. Every move was calculated, every line rehearsed, every smile perfectly timed. He wasn't transcending Washington. He was mastering it. Rogan likens it to a magician insisting he's not doing tricks while palming cards in plain sight. The act worked because the audience wanted to believe the illusion. But Rogan's favorite jab comes later. Obama still lingers over American politics like a ghost who won't leave the party. He's not president anymore, but his shadow shows up in every conversation. Rogan cracks that Obama is like the guy who graduated high school years ago but keeps sneaking back into prom, pretending he's there to support the kids, when really, he just misses the spotlight. The image is cruel, but it sticks because Obama hasn't truly left. He's just rebranded his presence as mentorship and commentary. Rogan's verdict is brutal. Obama wasn't a transformative president. He was a brand ambassador for a system that never changes. Not a monster. Something worse, ordinary. Not the icon the media worships. Not the savior his fans imagine. Just another politician who played the game, cashed the checks, and smiled for the cameras. The roast lands hardest because it strips away the myth and leaves only the man. A man who built his entire career on selling an image. And Rogan doesn't let him leave the stage with the illusion intact.